Hola y bienvenidos a la clase del español. Este video es parte de la N.L.L.S, Programa para Estudiantes de Idiomas. Este video instructivo es para el Español 1, Cuento A, Parte 2. Hello and welcome to your Spanish class. This video is part of the N.L.L.S Program for Language Learners. This instructional video is for Spanish 1, Story A, Part 2. For this video, you'll need your classroom journal or notebook and something to write with. Feel free to stop, rewind, or fast forward as needed throughout this video. Empecemos! Today's story is titled Juanito. This is part 2 of the story. Before we get into the story, let's take a look at our I can statements and our additional vocabulary that we're going to be using. On the screen, you can see our goals for the story section. These I can statements are things you should be able to communicate by the end of this section. As you see, they're broken up into 3 categories: novice low, novice mid, and novice high. These are called levels of proficiency. Proficiency is basically how well someone speaks a language. Understanding these levels of language proficiency and actively working to improve your level of comprehension helps you develop true language proficiency and improves your capacity to communicate and comprehend both in the written and the spoken language. In other words, the more practice you put in and the more you use the language, the better you'll get and the more you'll be able to communicate in the language. Pause this video and write your I can statements in your notebook or journal. Now let's take a look at some vocabulary. On the screen now, there's some additional vocabulary words and expressions that we're going to be using and incorporating into our story. Don't worry about what they mean yet, we'll be going back to them very shortly. Pause the video and take a few moments to copy these into your journal or notebook. And finally, here's your story for A2. Pause the video again and take a few moments to copy this into your journal or notebook. Now that you have your story written down in your notes, I'm going to read the story to you slowly. Focus on each word as I say them out loud. Pay attention to the way each word sounds. Tengo 14 años. Mi cumpleaños es el 4 de marzo. Tengo una hermana que se llama Mercedes. No tengo un hermano. I'm going to read it again, a little faster this time. And after, I'm going to read it at a normal conversational speed. Tengo 14 años. Mi cumpleaños es el 4 de marzo. Tengo una hermana que se llama Mercedes. No tengo un hermano. Tengo 14 años. Mi cumpleaños es el 4 de marzo. Tengo una hermana que se llama Mercedes. No tengo un hermano. We're going to do it one more time, but this time I want you to read along with me. As I say each sentence, repeat it out loud, making sure you pronounce the words as correctly as you can. Tengo 14 años. Mi cumpleaños es el 4 de marzo. Tengo una hermana que se llama Mercedes. No tengo un hermano. Rewind your video and do this again until you're comfortable with the words and how they sound. You can record yourself, you can play it back if you want to, just work on your pronunciation. Now that you have the pronunciation down, let's start the lesson. You'll need to follow along with me, repeat when you need to, follow all the instructions and cues, and just have fun with it. Remember, you can always stop, pause, and rewind as much as you need to make sure you're understanding. Ready? Vamos! The first thing that we have is the expression tengo 14 años. Tengo 14 años means I am 14 years old. So Juanito is 14 years old. Let's take a look at how this works. If you look at the top of your vocabulary list, you have the verb tener. Tener is one of the most common verbs in the Spanish language, and in English it would mean to have. To use tener, you do have to modify it. So look at the 6 words underneath. Tengo, tienes, tiene, tenemos, tenéis, and tienen. Tengo means I have. Tienes, you have, do you have. Tiene, he has, she has, or it has. Tenemos, we have. Tenéis, in brackets, is y'all have, you all have, and it's used only in Spain. And then you have tienen, which means y'all have or they have. Our focus right now is going to be on the first three: tengo, tienes, and tiene. Tengo is I have, and it is very, very easy to use. If I have a dog, I would say, tengo un perro. If I have a cat, I would say, tengo un gato. If I have a brother, I would say, tengo un hermano. And if I have a sister, I would say, tengo una hermana. Tienes is you have or do you have. So if I ask my best friend, ¿tienes un hermano? Do you have a brother? ¿Tienes una hermana? Do you have a sister? ¿Tienes un perro? Do you have a dog? ¿Tienes un gato? Do you have a cat? Tiene is talking about someone. So if I say, mi amigo tiene un perro, my friend has a dog. Mi amiga tiene un gato. My friend, who is female, has a cat. If you want to make these negative and say things that I don't have, you don't have, or he or she doesn't have, you just put no in front of it. No tengo un perro. I don't have a dog. No tengo un hermano. I don't have a brother. ¿No tienes un perro? You don't have a dog. No tienes un gato. No, you don't have a cat. Mi amigo no tiene una hermana. My friend does not have a sister. We're actually going to be using these to talk about how old we are. In your story, Juanito says, tengo 14 años. Tengo 14 años is I am 14 years old. It's a little weird, but we use the verb tener instead of to be. So in Spanish, you are not an age, you have an age. So tengo 14 años, I am 14 years old, I have 14 years. Try not to think about that too much, just focus on the expression. Tengo 14 años, I'm 14. ¿Tienes 14 años? Are you 14 years old? Mi amigo tiene 14 años. My friend is 14 years old. Mi amiga tiene 14 años. My friend who is female is 14 years old. So you use a form of tener, you add a number, and then you put the word años at the end. Años means years. It's very easy to use. If we're going to be telling people's ages, then we need to know numbers. So look at your vocabulary section under los números. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 through 19. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. 20 is 20, and 30 is 30. A couple of pronunciation notes. Look at 15. In English, we're used to QUI being a qui sound. In Spanish, QUI is qui, 15, not Quincy, 15. The number 20 is 20. These in Spanish are almost indistinguishable from the letter B in Spanish. So you don't say 20, you say 20. 16, 17, 18, and 19 are actually just the words 10 and 6, 10 and 7, 10 and 8, 10 and 9, all crammed together to make one word. 16, 17, 18, and 19. Let's add those with tener to make people's ages. Tengo 15 años. I am 15 years old. Tengo 19 años. I'm 19 years old. Tengo 3 años. I'm 3 years old. Tengo 20 años. I'm 20 years old. Look under edad en cumpleaños, and you'll see the question, ¿Cuántos años tienes? That means, how old are you? ¿Cuántos años tienes? Tengo 15 años. ¿Y tú? ¿Cuántos años tienes? Tengo 14 años. Look below that one and you have ¿Cuántos años tiene? That would be if you're talking about someone. ¿Cuántos años tiene tu amigo? Mi amigo tiene 16 años. ¿Cuántos años tiene tu amiga? Mi amiga tiene 20 años. ¿Cuántos años tiene tu hermano? Mi hermano tiene 4 años. ¿Cuántos años tiene tu hermana? Mi hermana tiene 18 años. So back on the story, ¿cuántos años tiene Juanito? Juanito tiene 14 años. So if you're talking to Juanito, you would say, hey, Juanito, ¿cuántos años tienes? And he would say, tengo 14 años. Look at the next part that says, mi cumpleaños. My birthday. So cumpleaños is birthday. Mi is my. Mi cumpleaños is my birthday. If you want to talk about more people, go back to your vocabulary and look under possessivos, possessives. Mi blank is my. Tu blank is your. And su blank is his or her. The blank is after all of these because something must come after that. Think about it in English. I can't just leave my on the end of a sentence. Hey, do you have my? You're looking for a word to come after that. These work the same way. You can't say, hey, ¿tienes mi? You have to put something there. ¿Tienes mi perro? Do you have my dog? ¿Tienes mi gato? Do you have my cat? So in our story, Juanito says, mi cumpleaños es el 4 de marzo. My birthday is March 4th, or the 4th of March. So if I want to ask him, when is your birthday? Back to your vocabulary, under edad en cumpleaños, you see, mi cumpleaños es blank. That's you telling when your birthday is. ¿Cuándo es tu cumpleaños? When is your birthday? ¿Cuándo es el cumpleaños de blank? When is someone else's birthday? We're going to come back to that one here in a moment. But before we do, let's look at months. Los meses. A couple of things I want you to see before we start. First, none of the months are capitalized ever. So they never start with a capital letter like they would in English. Second, they're all cognates. A cognate, some people call them cognates, are words that look similar to English words. They're your friendly words. They're the words you learn quickly because they look so familiar. So let's go over los meses, the months. Enero, January. Febrero, February. Marzo, March. Abril, April. Mayo, May. Junio, June. Julio, July. Agosto, August. Septiembre, September. Octubre, October. Noviembre, November. And diciembre, December. A couple of pronunciation hints for you. Mayo is May, not mayo, which is something that goes on a sandwich. Also, Spanish is very, very strict with their vowel sounds. Every time you see the letter O in Spanish, it is pronounced O, not A. So the month of October is not octubre, it is octubre. Octubre. You always want to maintain a good Spanish accent when you're speaking. So if my birthday was in October, mi cumpleaños es en octubre. Can you tell me what month you were born in? Can you tell me what month it is now? In your story, Juanito says, mi cumpleaños es el 4 de marzo. So his birthday is March 4th. Now, in English, we tend to put the month before the day. For example, Christmas is December 25th. Halloween is October 31st. In almost every other language on the planet, however, you always put the day before the month. We can do this in English, but we have to use what's called an ordinal number. The 4th of March, the 5th of April, the 31st of November. Spanish, you don't even have to worry about that, except for the 1st of every month. The 1st of every month is the only time that we use an ordinal number with a date. So el primero de enero is the 1st of January. El primero de mayo is the 1st of May. El primero de agosto, the 1st of August. El primero de noviembre, the 1st of November. After that, we don't have to worry about them. So anything after the 1st, you just use a number, use the word de, and then the month. And that's all you do. El 4 de marzo. El 5 de mayo. El 9 de abril. El 15 de agosto. El 25 de diciembre. El 31 de octubre. So in Spanish dates, you must have el before the number, de, and then a month. It's that simple. Back under miscellaneous, look at the question, ¿Cuál es la fecha de hoy? If today was the 31st of November, I would say, hoy, today, es el 31 de noviembre. If today was May 6th, I would say, hoy es el 6 de mayo. If it was the 2nd of January, hoy es el 2 de enero. If my birthday was February the 5th, it would be mi cumpleaños es el 5 de febrero. If my mother's birthday is the 21st of April, el cumpleaños de mi madre es el 21 de abril. You may have noticed, to make a number like 21, 32, 24, 39. You just take the tens place, 20, 30, the word y, which if you remember means and just a number. So 21 is 21, 35 is 35, 28 is 28, 36, 36. It's that easy. So Christmas is el 25 de diciembre. Halloween es el 31 de octubre. So now it's your turn. Tell me, ¿cuándo es tu cumpleaños? Good. Let's pause for 1 second and look at this word de. De is possibly the most used word in the Spanish language. It means of, from, about. It means several things. But it is also used in Spanish to replace the apostrophe S in English. For example, my brother's car. You cannot use that construction in Español and say, mi hermano's carro. That doesn't work. It doesn't exist. You have to use the word de and say it as if we were saying in English, the car of my brother. El carro de mi hermano. You can't say, mi amigo's perro. You have to say, el perro de mi amigo, the dog of my friend, not my friend's dog. So el cumpleaños de mi amigo is the birthday of my friend. You cannot change it around and say mi amigo's cumpleaños. This is difficult for English speakers because we're so used to using that construction, apostrophe S. There is no apostrophe S in Spanish. It literally does not exist. You must use the word de just as we would use the word of. So, el cumpleaños de mi amigo es el 18 de diciembre. El cumpleaños de mi amiga es el 12 de julio. You have to be very careful with this. So back to edad en cumpleaños. ¿Cuándo es el cumpleaños de blank? When is the birthday of whoever you want to talk about? So if I want to know when your brother's birthday is, I would ask, ¿Cuándo es el cumpleaños de tu hermano? If I wanted to know about your sister, ¿Cuándo es el cumpleaños de tu hermana? For your mom, ¿Cuándo es el cumpleaños de tu mamá? For your dad, ¿Cuándo es el cumpleaños de tu papá? So the word de is used to tell who something belongs to. Es la casa de mi mamá. It's my mom's house. Es el perro de mi hermana. It's my sister's dog. Back on our story, Juanito says, Tengo una hermana que se llama Mercedes. Tengo is I have, so I have a sister whose name is Mercedes. Tengo una hermana que se llama Mercedes. No tengo un hermano. I don't have a brother. Juanito tiene un hermano o una hermana. Tiene una hermana. Juanito tiene un hermano. No, Juanito no tiene un hermano. Juanito tiene una hermana. ¿La hermana de Juanito es un chico o una chica? La hermana de Juanito es una chica. What about you? ¿Tienes un hermano o tienes una hermana? What if you have both? You could use the word hermanos, which means both brothers and siblings in general. So if I have 4 brothers and sisters, I could lump them all under one category and say, Tengo 4 hermanos. I have 4 siblings. If all of my siblings were girls, however, I would change it a little bit. If I have 4 sisters, I would be more specific. Tengo 4 hermanas, not hermanos. Hermanos is only brothers or all of them together, siblings, but hermanas is only sisters. I can also be specific. If I have 3 sisters and 2 brothers, I could say, tengo 3 hermanas y 2 hermanos. Or, tengo 5 hermanos. I have 5 siblings altogether. The choice is yours. So, ¿cuántos hermanos tiene Juanito? Juanito tiene una hermana. ¿Juanito tiene un hermano? No, Juanito no tiene un hermano, tiene una hermana. ¿Cómo se llama su hermana? Su hermana se llama Mercedes. ¿Su hermano se llama Mercedes? No, su hermana se llama Mercedes. Before we wrap everything up and look at some questions and answers, let's go back to vocabulary one more time and look at the section interrogativos. These are more question words. ¿Cuántos? How many? ¿Cuánto? How much? ¿Cuándo? When? ¿Por qué? Why? And cuál? Which? Sometimes it can be what. We will be using all of these as we progress. Let's review by looking at some questions and answers. Let's see how well you do. ¿Cuántos años tiene Juanito? Juanito tiene 14 años. ¿Cuántos años tienes? Tengo blank años. ¿Cuántos años tiene tu amigo? Mi amigo tiene blank años. ¿Cuántos años tiene tu amiga? Mi amiga tiene blank años. ¿Cuántos años tiene tu mamá? Mi mamá tiene blank años. ¿Cuántos años tiene tu papá? Mi papá tiene blank años. ¿Cómo se pregunta "How old are you" en español? Se pregunta ¿cuántos años tienes? ¿Cómo se dice birthday en español? Se dice cumpleaños. ¿Cuándo es el cumpleaños de Juanito? El cumpleaños de Juanito es el 4 de marzo. ¿Cuándo es tu cumpleaños? Mi cumpleaños es el blank de blank. ¿Cuándo es el cumpleaños de tu amigo? El cumpleaños de mi amigo es el blank de blank. ¿Cuándo es el cumpleaños de tu amiga? El cumpleaños de mi amiga es el blank de blank. ¿Cuál es la fecha de hoy? Hoy es el blank de blank. ¿Cómo se dice el 1 de agosto en inglés? Se dice the 1st of August. ¿Cómo se dice the 31st of April en español? Se dice el 31 de abril. ¿Cómo se dice 15 en español? Se dice 15. ¿Cómo se dice 20 en español? Se dice 20. ¿Cómo se dice 27 en español? Se dice 27. ¿Cómo se dice siblings or brothers en español? Se dice hermanos. ¿Cómo se dice hermanas en inglés? Se dice sisters. ¿Juan tiene un hermano? No, Juan no tiene un hermano. ¿Juan tiene un hermano o una hermana? Juan tiene una hermana. ¿Tienes hermanos? Sí, tengo hermanos. No, no tengo hermanos. ¿Cuántos hermanos tienes? Tengo blank hermanos. No tengo hermanos. ¿Tienes hermanas? Sí, tengo hermanas. No, no tengo hermanas. ¿Cuántas hermanas tienes? Tengo blank hermanas. No tengo hermanas. ¿Cómo se llama la hermana de Juanito? La hermana de Juanito se llama Mercedes. ¿Cómo se llama tu hermano? Mi hermano se llama blank. No tengo un hermano. ¿Cómo se llama tu hermana? Mi hermana se llama blank. No tengo una hermana. ¿Cómo te llamas? Me llamo blank. Again, make sure you go back and review all of these questions and answers until you feel comfortable with them and are ready to move forward. Now it's quiz time. I'm going to give you 20 questions and see how well you can answer them. You're going to need your journal and notebook and something to write with, and they will go by quickly, so pause and rewind as much as you need to write them down. Do your best and, of course, no cheating. Bien hecho! We'll see you back again soon for your next lesson. Hasta luego!